Welcome to another edition of Beginner Breakdown. I am your host, Mike Kummer. We are broadcasting live from the VIP boardroom up in the St. Louis Chess Club. This is where all the greats play at the Sinkfield Cup. But not so great is our old friend Harper Evan Smith. All right, he decided he's going to plunk down his $100 to play in the Thanksgiving Open, try to win 1,000, and let's see how he did. So he's got the black pieces in this game against Eric Hoffner. He's 2-0. He's feeling great. And all right, so here we go. So Eric starts out e4. Harper Evan Smith goes for the Sicilian, c5. And now his opponent plays something kind of strange, a3. Most of the time you'll see, you know, the knight out or the other knight out going into the Grand Prix attack. But a3, very suspicious. So Harper Evan Smith just develops normal, and he plays knight to c6. So if your opponent played a3, what do you think his follow-up would be? b4, right? Okay. So Harper Evan Smith's like, oh my God, this is going to be like the easiest game I've ever played. I'm already up a pawn, and it's move 4. Okay. So he's feeling really good right now. So let's see what White can do to try and make this so it's a sound sacrifice. So he attacks the knight. Knight back. Now what do you think White's going to play here to get a really big center? D4. Excellent. Okay. So that's his compensation for the pawn. Okay. He's got this really nice pawn structure in the center. Let's see if it's worth it. All right, so Harper's just going to attack it with d5. So he's like, okay, I'll take it. And queen takes. Okay. So we don't really have any good way to attack the queen here. So he's going to play knight to a3, possibly preparing bishop to c4. But after e6, why is bishop to c4 not a good move in this position? Yeah, because you just hang a pawn. Queen takes g2. So we don't want to be hanging pawns. Okay, so he's just going to go for it. Knight to b5. So he's threatening what's called the family fork, right? The queen, the king, and the rook. Everybody, right? So Harper should realize this position. And so now he's got to stop it. And the way he stops it is his actual losing move. Bishop to d6. It looks like an innocent move, right? I'm stopping knight to c7 check, which would lose everything. Much better is just retreating the queen, just so everybody knows. Okay, so White has a crusher in this position.
Bishop to c4.
So bishop to c4, unfortunately, I think the queen, where would the queen go? Bishop c4 looks interesting, because obviously if you take, it's over. Oh, but we have a nice check. And we're like, whew. Because once he blocks the check, you know, let's just say, for instance, knight e2, we can I'm just going to go retreat my bishop all the way back. I don't want that bishop going anywhere. And then we'll be okay. Okay, but good idea, but just not good enough. So besides, well, what is the only piece or pawns besides the rooks that are not protected in this position? So that's really what you want to look for is when you're looking for really good moves, is look for the undefended pieces or pawns. So besides the rooks, what's the only other piece or pawn that isn't protected in this position? G7, right. Okay, so how can we attack it? Well, the only way, right? Queen G4, okay? And it's a stomper, okay? It's a thumper. So Harper's like, oh, I'll just move my knight out. See, the whole thing about queen to G4, one, it attacks the G pawn, and now all of a sudden your move's looking pretty good, right? Bishop C4, because no check. And now Harper's like, oh man. If I could only see Harper's face during this, it would have been good. So Harper Evan Smith knows, like, oh man, if I move my queen, right, he's gonna play, knight takes, D6 check, and it's all falling apart for me. So he needs to make a threat greater or equal to Harper's. Obviously, if you take the bishop, yep, you get forked. So king moves, knight takes queen. Okay, so he needs to make a threat greater or equal. So he tries the move H5. So Eric's like, I don't care. Bishop takes.
Sure.
Pawn takes, right? And now we got the check. Okay, so now we're up a piece currently. King F8. And he can just consolidate now. Bishop takes, knight takes, rook takes, and all of a sudden we have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces, and Harper only has 3. And so knight E2. And so now Harper tries a little trick here, play king E8, so then on the next move he can castle. Does anybody believe me? But Eric thought it was true because he plays bishop to A3 to prevent the castling. So Harper's like, oh, enough of all that mumbo jumbo. I'm going to bring my rook out like this. Now, like we've all had kids classes before, right? Isn't that the number one thing you ever learn in kids classes? Never bring your rook out like this, because only bad things can happen when this happens. So okay. So now the rook is off the back row, so it's more easily attacked. So here he goes. So he moves his rook to B5. And now, look at rook, king, rook. What can you tell me about just the most basic thing you can tell me about the rook, and the king? They're all on light squares. Excellent, Mario. Okay, so when your pieces are on the same color squares, right? They're more easily forked or skewered or pinned. Okay, more easily to get double attacked, right? So Harper should have known he was threatened to get triple family forked earlier in the game, and now how do we threaten the family fork now? Knight E4, right? And we're threatening knight to D6. And this is great. This is great. So he plays rook to B3. And, no. So he plays king to D7. Thinking that, okay, my king protects that square. I'm not going to get forked. But, boop, he plops it right in. And there's nothing he can do. Knight takes, king takes. And it's looking pretty bad for Harper. So he protects his pawn. Moves his knight to A5. King attacks the rook. And Harper just throws in the towel at this point. He's like, I can't take it anymore. I've got nothing going on. So Harper Evan Smith resigns. So Eric Hoffner took first place in the under 2,000 section, leaving Harper tied for second. So Harper Evan Smith did actually win $475, but not the cool G.
What's his rating?
Harper Evan Smith is rated about 1930 because he was so close to expert, but then he dropped like 50 points. Okay, so that's the under 2,000 in the Thanksgiving Open. Now the real stuff, the Open, the FIDE rated Open section. All right, you missed Harper Evan Smith's defeat, but just in time for Mario's game. Back there. All right, so. All right, so now Mario Roper, who is present, is, even though he's just rated 1,000, he decided, hey, in order to be the best, I got to beat the best. So he's like, I'm playing the Open. He benefited from a first round bye, which was good, and now he's ready to take on WFM Luisa Mercado. All right, and Mario's got the black piece, so we'll look at it from his perspective. All right, so the WFM starts E4. Mario goes with the classic E5. Okay. Knight F3 attacks the pawn. Got to defend it. So now bishop to B5. So, in this position, the good old Roy Lopez, or maybe just continue normally, knight f6. But Mario's like, I'm having none of it. I'm not going to give you a chance to even trade the bishop for the knight. So he attacks the bishop with his knight. So she takes it. So what do you think 99% of the people would do in this position? Yeah, they would capture back, right? Instead, Mario decides he wants to attack the bishop, thus giving the WFM a free pawn. So she just takes it, and Mario takes back. So the bishop retreats, attacking F7 here. So Mario's like, I'm bringing my queen out. So now the queen is attacking G2, but whenever you put your queen out like this, you got to know that it's on the same line. So discovered attacks can happen. So the WFM's like, no respect. You got a queen, I'm just gonna castle right into it. And so how can Mario threaten checkmate in this position? And I'm not saying it's a good move. August. Bishop H3 threatens checkmate. But it's not a good move because she's got this. Queen F3 check, and then she can just take. Okay, so Mario saw it, so he's like, I'm not going to threaten checkmate. I'm going to threaten your queen. So he's like, no, I'm going to attack you. And now Mario, he sees a check, so he's got to play a check. And now what move is great for white here? Yes. D4, double attack. And one, it gets out of the check. And two, the bishop is now attacking the queen. Like three of Mario's pieces are on pre right now. That's pretty tough to do, Mario. And you got to really work at that. Okay? So Mario's like, I'm taking it with check. And she's like, joke's on you, buddy. And so Mario takes it, she takes it, and now he retreats his bishop. So she attacks his pawn. Mario decides, I don't really care. I'll attack your bishop. So bishop retreats. Attack it again. And now she's got two players on you, Mario, right? So, I mean, you might as well just get something for it, you know? Because when you castle, bishop takes, and now, well, there's two moves Mario could do in this position. The dreaded f6 move. F6 is not a good move here because, right, because we can remove the defender, and then boom. So Mario's got to do the embarrassing rook h7. Okay, not a good placement for that rook. All right, so she takes a pawn. Mario attacks a bishop. Bishop retreats. Attacks the other bishop. Guess what? Bishop retreats. I get the knight out. a4. All right, so now Mario's like, all right, I'll play some pins, you know. All right, so what is a simple way for white to get out of this pin?
You could push the pawn if you want.
You could push the pawn. But, you know, you can just develop your knight, and now the rooks are protecting each other, and you've completed your development, and you're looking pretty good here. So now Mario plays f5. She takes. And so once again, Mario, you know, you got to take this because when you take the rook, she gets like a free move here. Check, you know. And now, you take with the king. You take with the king here. Okay, I believe it. All right, so pawn takes, knight takes, rook back, rook check. King attacks the rook, another check, and see a knight. And now Mario decides, you know, he just saw how, you know, he lost the knight. So what's a funny way to lose the bishop in this position?
G3, G6.
Bishop G6, yeah. And now the computer, it took it a minute or two to figure out that it was like mate in 8 here. But before it could figure out it was mate in 8, the evaluation for Mario in this position was negative 100 points. So it's not looking very good, Mario. So Mario must have known what the computer was thinking, and he threw in the towel at this point. So plus 100, yeah, right. Oh wait, cool. But Mario's not dissuaded. He decides, you know what? I'm gonna take on the Grandmaster, Ben Finegold. And Mario has the white pieces. Let's see if it works out any better for Mario. Anybody taking a poll at home? Not looking good for Mario. Okay, so now Mario, I guess inspired by Eric Hoffner, decides to play a3. But let's see if he follows it up. So, all right, knight attacks the pawn, so we got to address the situation. So knight to c3. Ben plays e5. Bishop c4, attacking pivotal f7 here. And now Ben knows a trick, I guess. Knight takes pawn. So if knight takes d5, even though the computer won't let us play it, it's so good, forking the pieces. Then Mario could just take, right? And then the queen would take eventually. He'd probably really think about it, you know, Ben Finegold. He doesn't want to rush. And then we can attack the queen, and when the queen goes back, you know, you'll be doing so-so.
Do you want me to turn that note off that you accidentally turned on?
Oh.
I figured it out.
Queen e2.
All right, yeah, it's more funny if we don't turn it off.
All right, so he takes center. So he's like, okay, I'll play that. But I mean, and one advantage is you get the bishop rolling right away. But you know, you got the bishop developed, so that's good. Of course, Ben Finegold is not going to play f6 like the computer. See, like if the computers recommend f6 in this position, so I won't put too much stock in which way the pawn takes. So obviously Ben Finegold plays D6 and not F6. And Mario's on the attack here. Knight to G5. Did you really think this was going to work when you played it? I mean, what did you think he was going to play when you play Knight to G5? Were you just like, I got him? D5. So you saw that, but you just.
My things, I should have played B4. I think I should have played D3.
So obviously, so he plays D5, obviously, and you go for it, huh? Knight takes F7. All right, so obviously he's going to take it. So he gets the queen check. So he's got two players. Mario's got two players attacking the D pawn.
Yep.
So all right, you got the king out there. But let's see. Okay, so you got to move the bishop now. So you retreat the bishop and keeping the pin on. Obviously, Ben Finegold's going to play a good move here. C4.
I ended up playing B4. I should have played B3.
Right.
I would play B3. I think it would have been
Right. So when you play B4, obviously he's not going to play. He's not going to play en passant on you, and so B3 keeps the pressure on. Yeah. All right. So B4. Ben Finegold obviously wants to consolidate. Mario's not going to let him. Bishop D6, putting the bishop on the same diagonal as the queen. Bishop attacks the queen. Queen up. Ben Finegold doesn't have to worry about his queen and king being on the same line because Mario's bishop is forever out of the game now on A2. All right, so Mario castles. Bishop attacks the queen. Knight. Knight there. Now Mario plays H3. Knight G6 attacks the queen. And here's the man himself, Ben Finegold. All right. And so Ben will just consolidate to a winning endgame. B5. Mario's trying to break it open here. F4. So how come in this position you just didn't play F4 right away? If he wasn't going to take it, you know? Why would you waste a move with F3 if you weren't going to take that? Okay. All right, so F4, so threatening the big fork. I'm sure Ben's going to see it. So he retreats the king. Mario keeps going with his plan. F6. All right, so now Mario has a passed pawn here. But let's see if it goes very far. So bishop to H6, threatening bishop G7. So now Ben's got a knight blocking the pawn. It's good. G5. So bishop attacks the pawn. I don't see how Mario can defend it. All right. Ben doesn't even want the pawn. Ben doesn't. So A5. Rook protects the bishop. And now Mario's got a threat, though. Rook takes A3. So his bishop's under attack, so he's got to move it. All right, so D4. So now Mario can go ahead with his threat here. Bishop attacks the rook. Rook moves. So Mario's got to take the pawn. Okay. So now Ben gets his pawn back, attacks the rook. So Mario attacks the another pawn. King protects. Pretty easy stuff. All right, so now Mario's doubled his rooks with the intent of playing rook up here and then getting the other rook to check him. Let's see if it works. So bishop to g3 check. Notice he can't take it because of the rook protected it. So now I bet he's going to check him again. And so now Ben plays check. So if he takes it, pawn takes check, and then you'll win the bishop and get a queen. All right, so Mario sees it and plays king to c1. Bishop back. All right, Mario's got his threat going here. All right, so big check, king up. What to play, what to play, what to play? So knight to e4. What is black threatening in this position? All right, so, well, Mario saw the game, so he knows, he now knows what, so knight to f2 check, king moves, but maybe we have even better. Knight to c3. Yeah, so Mario, he can't resist taking, and then checkmate, checkmate. And Ben Finegold finished tied for third. Clear third, $800. All thanks to this 1 point from Mario. Brought him over the top. Okay, we have one more game.
I told Mike Kummer if he showed one of my games, I'd pay him.
Oh, good. I don't think you owe me that much.
Yeah.
Because I think you're. All right. You know, yeah. Don't argue with a man that's gonna pay you.
Look at the last text here.
All right. All right. All right. I love it. I love it.
The rest was a tip.
All right. I'll take it. I'll take it. All right. We'll go back to the under 2,000. We can't resist. We'll have bonus. So this is the champion, Eric Hoffner, his first round game against Robert Beekman, okay? All right, so, so e4, c5, back to the old a3, e6, b4. So as we saw Harper, he couldn't resist, you know, getting 2 pawns for 1, but now Robert's gonna try something else. He's gonna attack the e pawn. So and move it up, knight up, c4, so got to move the knight, pawn takes bishop. So once again, Eric Hoffner has achieved his dream position where he gets the big center, and in this case, he didn't actually even have to sacrifice a pawn. Okay, so who would play f4 here and just get all the pawns? Nope. So Eric Hoffner loves queen to g4, okay? So as we saw in the other game, you know, the WFM against Mario, right? When he played queen to, you know, g5 was the case. She's like, I don't care, I'll castle right into it. Okay? But yeah. So this was that's the reason why you couldn't do it in this position, because she had all those tricks like with bishop check and queen there. Robert Beekman's got nothing, you know. So what's the only move Robert Beekman can play here? g6. All right, we'll play. All right, and then we just take the rook. Bishop takes, and knight f3, and now knight takes c4. Who thinks that is a good move?
Robert Beekman did.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Maybe you didn't see the bishop.
Yeah, I just didn't see the bishop.
See a white bishop on a white square.
Yep, sometimes it's tough. All right, that's where I stopped looking at it, but you know, we can't resist. Well, maybe we can resist. And, yep, and Eric Hoffner wins about 10 moves later. Okay. All right, well, thank you all for coming. Stick around for Ben Finegold's class, Mastering the Middle Game. Thank you very much.